What is up, everyone? It's Jack, and welcome back to another video. And today I want to talk about the importance of the year 2024 in Call of Duty and why I believe it to be the most important year in Call of Duty history for quite a long time, which could at least potentially turn the franchise around into the right direction. Now, right off the bat, I want to say that the old days of Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1 are never going to come back, no matter how much we want them to. And I'll go even further as to say that even if all the stars were to align and we were to replicate all those times in today's world, victory would be short-lived. And before you know it, we would eventually get bored, and before long, it would wear off and we'd be wanting something new regardless, because we've been there before. If Black Ops 2, for instance, right, today, were to be clean of hackers and crossplay was enabled, and all the bells and whistles were there, and skill-based matchmaking were removed, at first, it would be fun, and we'd play it all day, and then after a certain amount of sessions, we'd be bored, because we've done it before, and it's nothing new. Those times cannot be replicated, because it was innovation back then, and it's not what is new now. Call of Duty, like it or not, actually needs to keep evolving. However, the problem lies in the design and decision making, or perhaps maybe because of the current publisher in Activision severely limiting or straight up not allowing the devs to innovate for one reason or another. And this is where the importance of 2024 comes in, actually, because in which Treyarch will actually be at the helm to release their new title. So by 2024, Treyarch would have worked on a title from the ground up, as opposed to what happened with Cold War, in which they had to take over for Sledgehammer. And they are likely going to be releasing Blackout 2.0, with lessons learned from the original game back in Black Ops 4, with corrections made, more development time, which would make the gameplay even better, because they only had a year to develop the original Blackout, for those of you guys that can remember. There will also be crossplay, and it will be free to play. The original Blackout didn't have any of these things. From a Battle Royale perspective, when you look at it that way, and you guys know that a Battle Royale will exist, this is exciting news. Now, back in Black Ops 4, there were whispers that campaign actually did exist, and they were forced to scrap it, put it under the rug or whatnot, so to speak. As far as campaign goes, every single first-person shooter fan or a COD fan that has experienced a Call of Duty campaign whenever one was released, and Black Ops 4, I believe, was the only omission, they've never really been let down from a campaign. So any campaign that has ever been released, I don't hear really anybody complaining about campaigns. Sure, they're not very long, and they're overall pretty solid, and you know that what you're going to get from a campaign. So if the next Treyarch game is going to be a sequel to Black Ops 4, there's potential for great campaign story featuring the different specialists. Or if it's a prequel, right, I don't think people will complain about seeing Mason or Woods again. So at the end of the day, whenever Treyarch makes a game from start to finish, unlike Cold War, have they ever really overall let us down? Yes, the campaign was missing from Black Ops 4, but fans got Blackout in its place. Something that a lot of fans would say was actually a fair trade. Whether you agree or not is obviously subjective, and rightfully so, but it's pretty clear when you put all the pieces together that that's exactly what happened. Now, we move on into multiplayer, right? So as mentioned earlier, Call of Duty needs to keep evolving. But how do you evolve something without losing its identity? This is the challenge and question that developers need to answer time and time again. So all I know is that mistakes from the past can't be repeated. Most of them are simple. Like, let's give you an example, right? We all love the map Firing Range. It is one of the best maps in Call of Duty history, hands down, and for good reason. And it's been brought back more than once. Now, as much as I like that, there are some other great maps in the Black Ops brand that should also be brought back that have not. And this will also help keep things fresh while adding in a hint of nostalgia. And it's a nod to the Black Ops world, right? However, here's the kicker. The majority of the maps that are brought back, or even into the new game itself, that are created, from the start, they need to be new. Relying on nostalgia as your main course is only going to actually make things bland. Now, imagine Black Ops 4 having 4 brand new maps, right? I'm not talking about the DLC maps, but I'm talking about maps on launch. Let's say only Firing Range and Nuketown were brought back, and we had an additional 4 maps that were brand new. I think that would have made Black Ops 4 even better. So, for instance, here's another subject. We know that customization in COD is part of the formula for success. So why not customize your score streaks like you can your weapons, for example? with, let's say, multiple variations that can actually make them more lethal or less lethal, which actually would change how much they cost as well. In a similar way that was done in Advanced Warfare, because that was a cool thing that Advanced Warfare came up with, but done in a similar way to how you would create your classes, or the way you set up your gunsmith, for instance, but specifically for score streaks. Right? Imagine, for instance, a chopper gunner, for instance, that looks and plays different in terms of how you created your score streak class. So this is important because score streaks are one of the pillars of Call of Duty, right? And here are the pillars: maps, streaks, guns. And speaking of guns, the gunsmith was actually a really good idea, but there are just way too many attachments, but there's also penalties to those attachments. That's not good. I'd rather have less attachment slots with 0 penalties. Attachments are supposed to make your weapon better, not worse, which only would enhance your movement. It's basically giving the players options. So if you're taking a step forward and at the same time taking a step back, are you really going anywhere? So movement and playstyle should have no penalties from attachments, at least in pubs, right? So this allows for weapons to be more viable because there could be multiple classes with the same weapon, but every single weapon plays and feels different because of the combinations of attachments that you use. Now, for one of the final categories that I want to talk about today, when it comes to this, as we're getting to the end of this video, it's safe to assume that Microsoft is a lesser of two evils when compared to Activision, right? We know they don't want the franchise to die because of the insane amount of money invested in Microsoft, unlike Activision, is actually known to allow their devs creative freedom, and even in some cases coming in and giving funds to a dev team that is trying to finish their project while allowing them and giving them the time they need to do so. Activision has proven over the years that is actually the complete opposite of that. So with all that being said, there is potential for COD to start heading in the right direction again. And only time will tell in terms of how things will play out. So with everything that's been said in this video, what do you guys think? Are you optimistic in terms of where things could head? Or are you done with the franchise? Let everything be known down below. So that's all I got for this one, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.